Hey guys, so we're going to do a simple tutorial on how to create your own clip-ins. So first you're going to start by threading your own needle, and once you get to the end of the thread, just be sure to tie a nice knot at the end, so that way when you're in between sewing the clips to the wefts, your thread does not pop. Also, you're going to need to make sure that your clips are pretty sturdy. Okay, so during this section, you're just going to make sure your clips are properly lined up with your weft, so that way the clips don't hang over and it doesn't look weird. And you're going to begin to sew your clip on once it's lined up properly. You're just going to take it through the hole, and then you're just going to follow the pattern that I do in the video. Also guys, when you are sewing your clips onto the weft, just be sure to go over it probably like 2 or 3 times, just to ensure that your clips are on the weft pretty sturdy, so that way when you put it in your hair, it doesn't slip out or your hair doesn't tangle in the clip. It's pretty time consuming, but I promise it is worth it. Okay, so a little helpful tip, before you guys even begin to sew your clips onto your weft, just be sure that the clip is facing you and not towards the weft, because then that would mean that your clip is going backwards, and if you begin to sew it while it's backwards, it's terrible, because then you're going to have to start all over again. And that has happened to me, so just make sure that the clip is facing you and not toward the weft when you try to open it. Okay, so another little helpful tip, just remember that the longer the wefts are in width, or the shorter the wefts are in width, that all determines on how many clips you use. So if the weft is longer in width, you want to use possibly 3 or 4 clips, and if it's shorter in width, you want to possibly use 1 or 2. Okay guys, so we have come to the end of the tutorial, and here is when you are absolutely finished going over your clip multiple times, and you are left with probably a little piece of thread left. But to ensure that you have enough space to tie multiple knots, do not wait until you have no thread left before you decide to tie your knot, because then your thread can easily unravel. So you're just going to make sure you tie a few knots in it, and you just look at how I'm tying it. Just take it slow, so that way you don't have knots way at the other end, and then you're going to have to be left with a long piece of string when you cut it. Just put your finger in place of it so you can get the knot as close to the weft as possible. And once you have tied a knot about 3 or 4 times, just go ahead and cut the excess thread off. And you see it's a little piece left, you want to get rid of that too. Yay! So we have the finishing result, guys. And the hair that I used for these clip-ins was just some old virgin Brazilian hair that I had left over. And you guys can use any hair, that's just the hair that I had left over. To ensure that your clip-ins look as professional as possible, you want to make sure that you properly measure out exactly where it's going to be placed when you place it into your scalp. So yeah, just keep that in mind, because you don't want the wefts to be too long or too short. You want it to look as natural as possible.